So in today's tutorial we are going to be making this beautiful tam. I like this tam, one because of its ribbing, but also because of the granny square pattern. The granny square is just something that is sentimental to me. It was one of the first things I learned when my grandmother was teaching me how to crochet so many years ago, and it's just a staple of crochet in my opinion. So I thought it would be cool to infuse that in the tam realm, if you will. So let me show you what you need and we'll get to it. Things you will need include the yarn. Obviously I love this yarn, and if you're wondering what kind it is called Poolside Siesta. It is a medium 4 yarn right there, as you can probably see, and we're going to be using 2 crochet hooks. So we're going to start out and we're going to do the main part of the hat that has the granny square pattern. We're going to do that with the size 6mm hook, so it's a J US. And then when it comes to the ribbing, we're going to swap out the 6 for the size 5, the H millimeter, just because we want that ribbing to be a little bit tighter and we want that opening to sort of close up. Other things that you're going to need include a pair of scissors, a stitch marker, and a tapestry darning weaving needle, just to weave in the tail if you want. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can use yarn of a different color, a paper clip, a safety pin, just something to hold the stitch as we are repeating the pattern for several rows so that you don't lose your place and then have to go back and count it, because that can be painstaking, especially when you have such a uniform looking pattern. Alright, let's get to it. So this was kind of embedded up under this paper here, and I was thinking, okay, that might be the tail that is coming from the inside because it looks like it, but you're kind of never sure. So I started to tug on it and then it started to get tighter on this edge. So I'm like, okay, that's definitely not the proper tail. So I just wanted to show you what they will do with some yarns just to make it easier on you. So as I said, as I started to pull, it started to get tighter. So then I knew that I needed to come back to this side and pull this way. And what they will do, that I'm trying to show you, is that they will tie one end to the other end so that once you start to pull it out, you'll see the true tail that comes from the inside, which is this one. Okay, it's their way of making it easier for you to find it. Alright, so I'm pulling, and now you can see as I'm pulling, this tail over here is coming through. Alright, and now I'm down to the one tail here, which is the one that comes from the inside, and then the other tail is the outside tail. So I'm just going to unravel this like that, and now I have my outside tail, which I like to just wrap around and tuck up under the paper so that it stays out of the way. And now I have my one tail that I'm going to be working with that comes from the inside, just the way I like. Okay, so hopefully that will help you to find the appropriate tail if you're like me and you like to use the tail that comes from the inside so that your yarn doesn't roll all around when you're working with it. For me, I find that extremely annoying. Alright, now moving on. Alright, so we're going to start with a slip knot. So just wrap it around like that, twist, wrap it over like that, pull that one over that one and off your finger, and then pull your finger up like that. So remember, we're starting off with the larger hook, which is the size J, the 6mm, and then you're going to tighten that. Now we are going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to slip stitch back to the first chain that we made, which is there. So we'll take our crochet hook, go in there like that, yarn over, and pull all the way through. Now we have this little ring, and we're going to first chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to make a double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, go into the ring, that hole, you move that tail out of the way, yarn over, pull through to the front so that you have 3 loops on your crochet hook. And the double crochet says we yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. This first chain 3 right here, that counts as a double crochet. Okay, so essentially we have 2 double crochets right now. We're going to chain 1, and now we're going to make 2 more double crochets in this ring. So yarn over, go into the ring, yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Make another one. Yarn over, go back into the ring, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Now that we've made another 2, we're going to chain 1 again. So we're noticing a pattern so far. The pattern is that you have 2 double crochets, chain, 2 double crochets, and then chain. Alright, so we're going to do this 6 more times so that we have 8 groupings of 2. We're going to have 8 of these groupings of 2. So far we have 1 group, 2 groups. We need 6 more groups, okay? So now I've already chained 1, yarn over, go into the loop, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, back in there, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, chain 1. Don't forget that chain 1, okay? That's going to create that little chain 1 space in between these groupings of 2. So we have 3 groupings of 2. 1, 2, 3. We need 5 more. I will let you get to crocheting, and I will meet you once you've gotten all 8 groupings of 2. See you there. Alright, so we have 8 groupings of 2. There's 1, there's 2, 1, 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, and then the chain 3 in that one right there, there's 8. So we have 8 groupings. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have 4 down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, before we connect, remember what goes after the second double crochet, a chain 1. So don't forget that chain 1 at the end of every round. Chain 1. Now we're going to slip stitch into the top chain, the 3rd chain up, 1, 2, 3, which is there. And pull all the way through. So now we're going to slip stitch over to this first space right here. Alright, so we have this chain 3, which we slip stitched into, and then we have this double crochet right there. So we're going to slip stitch into that double crochet. So just go into the top of it and slip stitch, and then here's the chain 1 space. We'll slip stitch into that as well, and now we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put a double crochet into that same chain 1 space. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Alright, we have a chain 3 that counts as a double crochet, and we have a double crochet. So now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into that chain 1 space that we just put that double crochet to, and put 2 more double crochets. Okay, back into there. So basically, in each chain 1 space in the round below, we're going to put a total of 4 double crochets separated by a chain 1. So we'll put 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then 2 double crochets back into that same space, and then chain 1. Okay. The next space is here. So Here's another grouping of 2. We skip that grouping of 2 and we go to the next chain 1 right there, that chain 1 space. Now we're going to put 2 double crochets in there. Okay, 2. So we put 2 in there. Now we chain 1. But remember, every space is going to get a total of 4 double crochets. So we're going to put 2 more double crochets back into that same chain 1 space in the round below to have a total of 4 double crochets separated by a chain 1. So in this space we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're separated by that chain right there. Basically, you're prepping for the next round. You're creating a space with that chain 1 for the next round. Just like we're going in the chain 1 spaces of the previous round, that's why we're creating the chain 1 spaces in this round. Okay? So we've gone through 2 chain 1 spaces below. There's 1, there's 1, and in each one we've put a total of 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, and then that chain 1, and then 3, 4. Then we chained 1, and then we went to the next space. 1, 2, chain 1, 3, 4. Okay? So you're just going to continue doing that all the way around until you get back here, and I'm going to meet you there. Okay? Let me start you off one more. Don't forget to chain 1. Go into the next chain 1 space in the round below, which is there, and put 2 double crochets, and then chain 1, and then put 2 more into that same space. This round is basically an increase round. Okay? We're increasing the number of double crochets we have for this round because we're trying to make this circle bigger. Alright, I'll meet you back around here. Alright, so this was the last set of 4 double crochets I made, and remember, after every 2 double crochets you chain 1 to create the space. So we have one more to make. It's between these 2 and those 2, and you can see that's that chain 3. So there's this space right here. So notice I didn't chain 1 yet. I made 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, so that's the 3, 4 of this grouping of 4. 1, 2, chain 1, 3, 4. Alright, but there's no chain, so let me chain. And then I'm going to move into this chain 1 space right there, and I'm going to put 2 double crochets in there. And remember, after every 2 double crochets you chain 1. And now I'm going to put the 3rd and 4th double crochets back into that same chain 1 space in the round below. That's 1, and this is 2. Remember, after every 2 double crochets you chain 1. Alright, so before we connect, I just want to show you something. We've actually definitely increased for sure. Okay? So in the first round, remember we had 8 groupings of 2. So that made 16 stitches for that round. For this round, because we increased and in every space put 4 double crochets, 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then 2 more double crochets, we have a total of 32 stitches if you were to go around and count all of the double crochets. And just to double check, you just make sure you count the groupings of 4. So let's start here. That's 1 grouping of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see how it's separated by the chain 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So 8 times 4 is 32 stitches. So we've doubled our stitches. Okay, so now it is time to connect and move on to round 3. we're going to slip stitch into the third chain up. So 1, 2, and then 3 is there. So we'll slip stitch in there by just yarning over and pulling all the way through. And just like in the previous round, we want to get over to this first chain 1 space. We're here, not chain 3. So we need to slip stitch through this double crochet, and then we need to slip stitch into that chain 1 space. So just go to the top of the double crochet and slip stitch, and then go into the chain 1 space there and slip stitch, and now we will chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now we're ready to really begin this round. Okay, every round is going to entail slip stitching our way over to that first chain 1 space and then chaining 3 to actually begin the round. Alright, okay, so we've slip stitched over through that second double crochet and then into that chain 1 space. We've chained 3. Now we're going to put 2 more double crochets into that chain 1 space. Okay, and we're going to chain 1. Believe it or not, we're actually done with this chain 1 space. Okay, I know before we were doing the 2 double crochet, chain 1, and then 2 more in the same space, but for this first one we only want the chain 3 and then 2 double crochets. Alright, so as you can see, I've chained 1 after the 2 double crochets, and I'm going to move over to this one. Now I'm going to go back to the 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets into that same chain 1 space. So let's go and do that. 1, 2, and then chain 1, and then 2 more going back in there. 3, and 4. Alright, so this is what we have so far. We have basically 3 double crochets in this one, and then 4 double crochets in this one with that chain 1 in between the sets of 2. Now remember, after every 2 double crochets you chain 1, so chain 1, and then this one we're going to go back to putting 3 double crochets in it, and we're going to do that after this one 6 more times for a total of 7 consecutive groupings of 3. Alright, whenever we're about to move over to the next chain 1 space in the round below, you chain 1. So now after we've put our 3, chain 1, and then we'll repeat in this space. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then this space. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Alright, so I know you might be wondering why these groupings of 3, why like after these first 2 I didn't chain 1, since I told you previously to always put a chain 1 after every 2. It's just because the pattern changed. So first we started out, even though this is a chain 3, basically that's 3 double crochets. It serves as a double crochet that chain 3 does. Okay, so with the groupings of 3, you don't chain 1 in between. Okay, it's just 3 double crochet, then chain 1 because we're moving to the next space, and now we do an increase by having 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then 2 more double crochets into that same space. Okay, so that's why that one is different than this one, or even the one that comes after. So after these 2 double crochets, we chain 1 because we're moving to the next space, and then we put 3 double crochets consecutive, no chain 1s in between the double crochets. They're all grouped together, We're not trying to create a space in between them. We want them to serve as one group. Okay, but then we chain 1 after that third double crochet because we're moving to the next space. Once again, no chains in between these double crochets because we want it to serve as one group of 3, that grouping. But then when we're moving to the next space, we chain 1. Okay, so like I said, you're gonna do this 7 times. So far this was the increase right here where we created an extra space, but so far we've done 1, 2, 3. You have to do this 4 more times, and then in the next space we're going to go back and increase again. So we'll do a 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 more double crochet. But yeah, complete these groupings of 3 4 more times for a total of 7, and then I'll meet you there. Okay, so I've completed my 7. So this was that increase where I did 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet into the same space right there. But then I started the groupings of 3, and I told you need 7 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And remember, they're all separated by a chain 1. So now I'm going to chain 1 after that grouping of 3, that 7th one. And in this next chain 1 space here, that's where we're going to increase. So we're going to put 2 double crochet in there first. There's 1, there's 2, and then we're going to chain 1 because we're creating an extra space there, and then we're going to put 2 more. There's 3, and then back into that same space. That's 4. Okay, so we increased there, and we also increased way back around here. Okay, those are the only increases for this round, and in each of the remaining spaces, there, and so on, you're going to just do the groupings of 3. But don't forget to chain 1 first. So chain 1 and then move to the next space, just there, and then put our 3 double crochets. And I don't know if you guys have really paid attention, but now is where that granny square pattern is starting to come to life with those 3 consecutive double crochets. Chain 1, move to the next space. 3 consecutive double crochets in there as well. And remember, after that third one, chain 1 because we're moving to another space. And you'll just continue in this manner back on around. I will meet you at the end of this round. Chain 1. Alright? Alright, the way you know that you're almost done is you look for that chain 3, which is there in the previous round. So we know that this space right here, that's our last space that we need to go into. I've already chained 1, so I'm going to put my 3 double crochet into that space. 1, 2, and 3. And don't forget to chain 1 because you're trying to create that space. And now we're going to slip stitch into the top chain. So 1, 2, and then 3. There, all the way through. Okay, now we're going to slip stitch over to the first space. Okay, do you guys understand why I need to slip stitch over, why we're slip stitching over? It's because we need to get to that space. There's no space over here to start this round, so we need to slip stitch our way over because we don't want to really mess up the pattern. We want to do it discreetly, or as discreetly as possible, and the way to be discreet is to do the smallest stitch, which is the slip stitch. So we are in this chain 3. We're going to slip stitch through that double crochet and that double crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch in this chain 1 space, and then we will be placed exactly where we need to begin this row. So enough talking. Slip stitch. That's 1, slip stitch. That's 2, chain 1 space, slip stitch. That's 3. And now we can step up by chaining 3 to really begin this round. So now we're going to, in that same space that we slip stitched and then chain 3 up from, we're going to go back in there and put 2 more double crochet. Congratulations everyone, this pattern just got super easy, okay? So you no longer have to worry about increasing, okay? We have increased as much as we're going to increase for this tam, and every row from here on out until we get to the ribbing is going to be identical. So I'm going to take my stitch marker. You should take yours, or like I said, a safety pin, paper clip, yarn of a different color, and just mark this. You can go through the chain 3 or just around it, it's fine. Just mark this, okay? The reason you're going to mark this is because this row is going to be repeated 12 times. Yes, we're going to do exactly what we're doing in this row for the next 11 rows for a total of 12 rows, or 12 rounds, because we're going in circles now. Alright, so basically we're just going to do the groupings of 3, and each grouping of 3 of course will be separated by a chain 1. So I did my 3 there. Remember that chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So I'm going to chain 1, find the next space which is there, and put 3 double crochet in there. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, find the next space there. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, find the next space, it's there. 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, find the next space, so it's there, and so on and so forth. Okay, so just continue putting 3 double crochets into every chain 1 space below, all the way around, and I'll meet you once we get back over here. Alright, that's what it's looking like. Alright you guys, so you can really see how much this has opened up now that we have gotten to this round, and we're putting all of our groupings of 3 and the chain 1 spaces below. It's really opened up, so if you're worried about it not being big enough, you see, that's not a concern. Alright, so I am pretty much at my last chain 1 space. I've already chained 1 after these 3, so I'm going to put them in here. And I'm going to show you one more thing before I get off and just let you repeat these rows, these seemingly endless rows. Okay, so after these 3, don't forget to chain 1. And then, instead of slip stitching into the 3rd chain up like we've been doing, I'm going to say that it's okay to just slip stitch into the top of that first real double crochet. Remember, this chain 3, that counts as a double crochet, but it's not an authentic double crochet. Okay, so I want you to slip stitch into the actual authentic, the real one, which is there. So we'll just slip stitch into the top of it, go through the top of it like that, yarn over, and pull all the way through. Okay, and then when we slip stitch to get to the first space, we only need to slip stitch into that 3rd remaining double crochet and then 1 into the chain 1 space, and then you can chain 3 and begin this round. So we'll start out. Remember, the chain 3 counts as a double crochet, so we only need 2 more. And this is just like the last round. Chain 1 and then move over to the next chain 1 space in the round below. Okay, 2 and 3. Don't forget the chain 1 before you move over to the next one. 1, 2, 3. Alright, So, important thing here to note, one thing that I did different for this round, and that you can if you want, and probably should, it just makes it easier to do for the next 10 or so rounds, is to slip stitch into that second double crochet. So remember, this is the chain 3. Instead of slip stitching into the top chain, just move over 1 to that double crochet, that middle one, slip stitch into that, and then you can slip stitch into the final double crochet and then into the chain 1 space, then chain 3, and then you're ready to begin the next round. Okay, I will see you after 12 rounds of just repeating this. Okay, just putting groupings of 3 separated by a chain all around for 12 rounds. Okay, so this right here with the stitch marker is, that counts as 1 round. So 1, and I'm working on round 2, and then 3, 4, all the way up to 12. Complete 12, and I will see you there so that we can work on the ribbing. Okay, so I have a confession. I was watching television while crocheting and actually did a couple extra rounds. Yeah, it goes by so fast. So I actually did 14 rounds of this instead of 12, which is fine. It'll just make for a slouchier hat or tam. It'll make it a little bit longer, a little bit more spacious. It's not a big deal. So I say all of that to say that if you want to make it longer, then feel free to do more rounds. It's not going to hurt anything. And I did it despite the fact that I have the stitch marker on here somewhere. There it is. So yeah, go figure. Alright, so I just finished my last grouping of 3. So I need to chain 1. Before I slip stitch to connect, I need to change my crochet hook. So this is where I'm going to go to a smaller hook. So I'm going to go from my 6mm, this J, to my 5mm, which is H. Okay, and also to slip stitch, instead of bypassing this chain 3 and slip stitching into that middle double crochet there, instead I'm going to go back to the way I was doing it and slip stitching into the 3rd chain up. So that's 1, that's 2, and then right here that's 3. So that's the top chain, just slip stitch, so pull all the way through. So this round is going to be composed of single crochets. So I'm going to chain 1 to kind of get myself up to the level, and then every stitch around is going to get 1 single crochet. So I'm going to go back into this same hole that I slip stitched into that top chain, and I'm going to put a single crochet. So yarn over, go through 2. Okay, and then I'm going to put 1 into the next stitch, yarn over, go through 2. Notice I'm not yarning over before I go into the top of the stitch. I'm just going in, yarning over, pulling it through, so I have 2 loops, and then yarning over and going through 2. Alright, so now you might be thinking, what about the chain 1? Are you going to try to go into the chain? No, it is sufficient to just go into the space, yarn over, pull through like that, yarn over, and go through 2. Alright, now we have these 3. So don't forget to go into the top of that stitch. You might think that, oh, that stitch is there, that single crochet is there, so you don't need 1 for there, but no, you do. Okay, so that single crochet is for the chain 1 that's there. This single crochet is for that first double crochet in that 3 double crochet grouping. So that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. Okay, moving over, here's that chain 1, so we're going to put a single crochet around that, and now we move to the next grouping of 3 double crochets and put 1 in there. Okay, so you'll just continue doing this around. Notice these single crochets are not super tight. I'm doing that intentionally because what we're going to do in the next round, we're going to do some front post, back post work, and you don't want these stitches to be too tight because it'll just make your job harder later, okay? So just continue putting one single crochet all the way around, and I'll see you back at the beginning, okay? Okay, I am back around, and it may not look like it, but I am. That's right there, that's the chain one, okay? And that's the first single crochet. So to connect, I am going to just go into there, so just in front of the chain one there, which is basically at that first single crochet that I made, and I'm going to slip stitch to connect. And for all of the remaining rounds, we're going to be making double crochets. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3 to get it to the height of the double crochet. But something I neglected to mention was that these aren't going to be regular double crochets. These are going to be front post and back post double crochets. So don't be afraid, okay? So it doesn't matter whether you start with the back post or the front post. I'm going to start with the front post double crochet. And basically all that entails is going from the front to the back behind the stitch and back out to the front, yarning over and then pulling back out the way you went in. Okay, so this right here, that's where I slip stitched into. This is that first single crochet that I'm going to go into. So because it's a double crochet, I'm going to yarn over. Now coming from the front, I'm going to go to the back, and this can be a little hard to see because it's such a short stitch, but just go behind the single crochet and come out right on the other side. Now we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull our crochet hook back out the way we came. Alright, so we gave it some slack so it comes up to the height of the double crochet. We have our 3 loops, so we're going to yarn over, go through 2, if I get my hook turned around, 1, 2, and yarn over and go through 2, 1, 2, okay? So you can see it's posted on the front. It's posted around that single crochet there, and it's on the front of it. Now the very next stitch, we're going to make a back post double crochet. So because it's a double crochet, we yarn over. This time, instead of coming from the front like we did in the previous stitch, we're going to go from behind, okay? Keep that yarned over, keep that yarn that you yarned over with on the loop, but come from behind like this, okay? And then the other side of the stitch is right there, right? It's right there. So you're going to go back like that. Now we're going to yarn over, and to keep that back view, I think I'm going to do that. Just kind of hold the stitch down, and you can just go all the way through like that. Now pull up, and you have your 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, okay? So you can see you've done a front post and a back post. You posted around the single crochet, but the first single crochet you're posted on the front, the next single crochet you're posted in the back, okay? And you can kind of tell by where you're crocheting at. Let's do another one. So we just did a back post, now we're alternating again to the front post. So yarn over, front post. So we're coming from the front to the back, and we're coming around back out to the front. Yarn over, and we can just pull back through like that. Now we have 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Notice the front posts are protruding out. The back posts will be sitting in the back. Okay, let's do another one. Now it's time for a back post double crochet. So yarn over, come from the back out to the front, and on the other side going back out to the back. Now I find it easier, like I said before, to kind of hold the stitch down, that single crochet down, and then yarn over and just go through everything, or go through that loop like that, and then yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, do a couple more just to make sure you got it. So that's the back post. This is the next single crochet right there. So yarn over, and we're due for a front post. From the front, go in, back behind that single crochet, and come back out on the other side. So that's the single crochet. So we went in from the front to the back and back out to the front. Now we yarn over, pull through 3 loops on our crochet hook, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Back posts. And if ever you get confused with what is what, like where you're supposed to go in, like where's the single crochet, just kind of stretch your stitches out and it'll make it clear. So stretching it out, I see that that's the next stitch, and I'm due for a back post. So yarn over, and this is coming from the back, and like that. Okay, so that's kind of what it looks like from the back. And then going on the other side, so I want to go around like that to the other side. That's what it looks like. Okay, now we yarn over and then hold that single crochet kind of down like that, at least the top of it. That's the top, so just hold it down, and then you can pull all the way through to get your 3 loops, and then yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, and you see it's starting that ribbing effect. So front post double crochet, back post double crochet, front post double crochet, back post double crochet, front post double crochet, back post double crochet, and you're going to do this all the way around. Let me do one more. So I just did a back post, so now it's time to do another front post. Yarn over, come from the front to the back, around and back out to the front, yarn over, pull through 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Okay, I'm going to do one more back post, since that one, in my opinion, is a little bit harder, it's a little bit trickier. So yarn over, come from the back like that, and then in front of it, and then back out to the back. Now I'm going to hold that down, yarn over, and then pull through. So I have my 3 loops. Now yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, and yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Okay, so just continue alternating between front post double crochet and back post double crochet, and I will meet you back here. And after I finish a couple, I like to double check to make sure I'm keeping the pattern, to make sure that I am actually alternating between front post double crochets and back post double crochets. And I also like to make sure that I haven't skipped any single crochets that I'm crocheting into. Okay, so I'm just gonna work for a bit on camera so you can see what I'm doing and how it's coming along. Okay. Alright, so I'm stopping to check to make sure that I'm keeping the pattern and that also I haven't skipped any. Alright, and now that it looks good, I'm just going to continue on. Take your time with this part, guys, okay? We're setting the foundation for the ribbing, and in the next row is going to be much easier because you'll be doing your posts around taller stitches, because you'll be posting around the double crochets that we're making in this row. So you have that to look forward to. Now I want to show you something else. Okay, so I'm about to do a front post. Come back out, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Alright, this is what I want to show you. So you might think that, okay, that one's there, so this one right here is the next single crochet, because you see part of that close to that, right? But remember, these front posts, and the back post for that matter, but in this case, this front post is posted around that single crochet. See how it's going on either side of it? That should tell you that this is actually the next single crochet that you need to do, that you need to go into. Not that one, this one, okay? Because this one is posted around that one. And this next one is a back post, so come from the back, around and back out to the back, and then, like I said, it helps to hold that down like that. Yarn over, and then pull through so you get your 3 loops, and then yarn over. Notice I'm keeping it to the back. That's why it's called a back post. Double crochet, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay? This one, going from the back post to the front post, it's a little bit easier to see which one is the next single crochet. Okay, it's obviously that one, but it's a little tougher when you're going from a front post to a back post. So this one, like I said, this is clearly the next single crochet. So let's just post around it and complete our double crochet there. But once again, this is where it gets a little tricky, because you might see that part of it. Let me get something smaller. You might see this part of it and think that, oh, that part goes to that single crochet, so this must be the next one. But no. Remember, think about what it's posted around. This front post double crochet is posted around this single crochet. It's just hard because these stitches are so small, the single crochets, that it's harder to tell. As I said, in the next row it'll be much, much easier. So since this is posted around that single crochet, that means that this single crochet is the next stitch. That's where you need to do your back post. Okay? Hopefully that helps. Okay, so we happen to end on a front post. I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain up of that chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, just go in there, grab me a piece, yarn over, and pull all the way through. Now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and this row is even easier than the previous one because we're going to put the same type of post stitches in every stitch below. Okay, so this next stitch, because you can tell it's a front post because it's sitting forward, that means we're going to put a front post in it. This chain right here, that's going to be the stitch for that chain down there. So we're going to move on to this one, which is that front post, and as I said, we're going to put a front post in it. So yarn over, come from the front, go behind and around, out like that, yarn over, pull through, and let it come up to the height of the regular double crochet. Now we have 3 loops, so yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay. The next one is a back post. You can tell because it's sitting back there, right, in between these 2 front posts, that one. So because that's a back post, we're going to put a back post double crochet on it. So yarn over, come from the back, forward, around, and back out to the other side. And just like before, you can hold that top down like that so you can see easier what you're doing. Then yarn over, pull through. I got a bit of that blue, sorry, take that out. Okay, let's try it again. So we yarned over, come in from the back, out and back around, hold that down. Now yarn over, pull through without getting any blue. Alright, now we have our 3 loops. Yarn over, and notice how we're crocheting on like behind, like on the back of the stitch basically. Hence back post double crochet. Yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Alright, time to alternate. This is the next stitch, and it's a front post as it should be because we alternated front post double crochet with back post double crochet. So yarn over, come from the front, back out and around like that, yarn over, pull through 3 loops, lift up, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Just do the back post. And here also will be where you're definitely going to catch to make sure you kept the pattern alternating between the 2 types of stitches. Okay, you don't want to find consecutive front post double crochets or consecutive back post double crochets. If so, you're going to want to take it out and do it right. I'm a firm believer in taking your time and doing it right so that you can have the best possible finished product. Okay. Alright, so as I said, back post, because that's a back post down there. You can always tell because it's sitting in the back between the 2 front posts on either side. So yarn over, come from the back to go around the back post. And then on the other side, out on the other side, and notice everything is in the back, my hook is in the back. Rotate that down so you can see what you're doing. Yarn over, now pull through. Okay, now pull up so you can get to the height of a normal double crochet. 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, so that back post is for that back post. Another front post will go here from the front, and just continue doing this all the way around. Okay, alternating between the stitches, but more importantly, putting the same type of stitch in the stitch below. Okay, that's what you really need to pay the most attention to, that you're matching the stitches. That's what's going to give you that ribbing effect. Alright, so as you can see, we're matching the stitches. Front posts down there, there. Front posts up here, there. Alright, do this one around and I'll meet you back there. Alright, so we're at that final front post. So we're going to put a front post in it. And now we're at the chain 3. So we can slip stitch into that top chain, the 3rd chain up. Chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3. That chain 3 is for that chain 3. And of course this first stitch is a front post, so we'll put a front post in it. The next stitch is a back post, so we put a back post in that, coming from behind, going back out, yarning over. Have 3 loops, 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Next stitch is a front post. Next stitch is a back post. And once you guys get used to making these front post, back post stitches, you will go through them so fast. Like I don't even have to really rotate those back posts anymore because I know where I'm going and I can just do it by feel. and you will get there as well. Okay, so this is the third row of these front post, back post double crochets. All right, you're gonna complete the third row, you're gonna do a fourth row, and then we will be done. So I'll meet you at the end of the fourth, and I've been saying row, my apologies, the fourth round. I will meet you at the end of the fourth round. If you want your brim to be thicker, you can do more rows than 4, but I like mine at 4. Alright, so I'll see you at the end of the fourth round. Alrighty, I am just finishing up. I have my last front post to do. And this time I am going to slip stitch into that front post there. Okay, I'm going to bypass that chain 3 and just slip stitch into the front post to kind of bring it together. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to chain 1, cut my yarn, and pull through. And now I'll turn this around. I'm going to go through a stitch like this, yarn over, pull through, and instead of pulling all the way through, I'm going to yarn over and chain and tie a knot. Okay, at this point you can weave in your yarn, okay, with your darning needle. I know there are a lot of people that like to weave in their yarn. They're afraid that their project is going to unravel. So if you want to do that, just take it and go through some stitches in one direction and then back in the other direction, going through some stitches. I kind of like it. I like to bring it back where I first tied that knot, because that marks the back of it for me. You know, it's like a tag. So alright, and at this point it's definitely secure, but since I have a little tail left, I'll tie another knot. So yarn over and pull through like that. Alright, so as I said, I like to have a little tail because it serves as the tag, so I'll cut it down a little bit. But it's on the inside, so it's not going to ever show on the outside. Even if I do that, when I put it on, it lays flat like that. Okay, and that's what this looks like. So you can see that that's the back. I mean, it's not even all that noticeable, right? It's just the gap is a little bit wider, but to the average eye, not noticeable at all. But if you turn it over, this is what you have. You can take the stitch marker out now. Didn't help me because I did 2 extra rows, but it's okay. Actually, I'm in need of a longer tam now that my hair is getting longer. So yes, guys, this is what you get. This beautiful tam, and I'm calling this one right here a men's crochet hat. I love this colorway. It's just very beautiful. I love this brim. I've always been a fan of this type of brim. It's stretchy, but also it holds on to your head. And then if you want more air going in, this granny square hat is ideal for that because of the openings all throughout it. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tam. Alright guys, that is it for this video. I do hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Hopefully you learned a lot. If you have any questions, you know where to ask me. Just drop down in the comment section. If you like this video, don't forget to like it. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Alright, I will see you guys in the next video. In the meantime, happy crocheting.